This is the morning of the 14th. Clip put up by Midas Touch, Michael Popak. Trump runs scared after Epstein prosecutor calls his bluff. DOJ is hiding as Epstein case haunts them. Let's have a listen to this clip. Plays for just under 10 minutes.
No one in the Department of Justice wants to take on the Comey family, and I don't blame them. And I'm not just talking about James Comey, who had a very good day in Alexandria, Virginia today in front of Judge Curry to try to get his indictment dismissed, to try to get Lindsey Halligan declared to be an illegally appointed prosecutor. But that's not even the top headline. Maurene Comey, his daughter, a career prosecutor who is esteemed, who has an enviable body of work as a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan, who got fired. Nobody in the Department of Justice has decided that they're going to take on Maurene Comey and appear in court, file a notice of appearance to say they're going to defend the Department of Justice. Hello, is anyone home? Judge Furman looked around and said, we're almost out of time here, and no one has appeared from the Department of Justice and filed a notice of appearance. Not the Southern District of New York, who don't want to tangle with Maurene Comey. Not the Eastern District of New York and Brooklyn, who don't want to do it either. Not the federal contracting unit within the Department of Justice in Washington. No one. Let me tell you how unusual that is. In 35 years of my federal practice, I've never seen the U.S. Attorney's Office or the Department of Justice not file a notice of appearance in a case where they have been sued within hours or days of the suit being served on them. It was served on them September the 22nd. They only have till November the 21st to file their opposition, their answer, or their motion to dismiss. And the judge already set a status conference, which he's now had to postpone. I'm going to read to you from the order. He's now had to postpone because nobody appeared for the government, because nobody wants to take on Maurene Comey. And who can blame them? Comey was the prosecutor for Ghislaine Maxwell. She knows where all the bodies are buried. She knows all the evidence like the back of her hand. I tried cases 20 years ago. I could do the opening statement for those cases. I know the case that well. Maurene Comey knows the how and why Ghislaine Maxwell got convicted of 5 felony counts for child sex trafficking. That's the reason she's apparently now in a Beverly Hills style resort, a low minimum security prison in Texas, and trying to get a pardon out of Trump. And when Todd Blanche went in to interview Ghislaine Maxwell to try to get her to vouch for Donald Trump, a child sex trafficker vouching for a president of the United States, how low we have sunk. He didn't want to take Maurene Comey in with him. He didn't want anybody challenging his interviews. He didn't want to know the emails. He didn't want to know the documents. He didn't want to know the evidence. He just wanted to ask her questions. Oh, that's true? Oh, the moon is made of cheese? Oh, that's interesting. Maurene Comey would lean into his ear, which he didn't want, and say, she's lying. That's not true. There's evidence against her. There's an email against her. So he fired her 3 weeks before. She filed a lawsuit, Maurene Comey, in order to get her job back. All she wants to do is be a federal prosecutor. And by the way, nobody wants to be a federal prosecutor in the Department of Justice anymore. 5,000 people in the last 10 months either got fired or resigned. They're running, screaming from Pam Bondi and the chief legal officer of the United States, Donald Trump. By the way, I'm glad you're here on Midas Touch. I'm Michael Buck. Another hot take, another day, another scandal. And come over to Legal AF YouTube channel and hit the free subscribe button there as well. When Maurene Comey filed her lawsuit, she argued to the federal judge that the reason she's in court at all is because Donald Trump got rid of the Merit Systems Protection Board. That is a federal agency that's supposed to protect federal workers and their rights when they were wrongfully terminated. But we don't have one anymore because Donald Trump got rid of all the Biden appointees. There's only one person left. He's a Republican. There's no quorum, no Merit Systems Protection Board, no place to file your complaint. So she went, because it would be futile. So she went to court. And that's when the government's on the clock. Now, the government gets 60 days. Regular defendants get 30 days, but they get extra time. Judge Furman looked around and said, where is everybody? Why isn't anybody here? So what Judge Furman ordered when he looked around and saw no notice of appearance. In other words, they're very close to getting a default judgment granted against them in favor of Maurene Comey, which will get her job reinstated. I mean, some online pundits are like, is there anybody home in the Department of Justice? I saw a picture I loved, I'll put it up here, of just an empty Department of Justice podium with nobody at it. I mean, it's headed by an empty suit meat puppet and Pam Bondi. This is what the Judge Furman said.
What happened?
In light of the fact that defendants have until November 21 to respond to the complaint, the initial pretrial conference, which he set believing that the Department of Justice would defend itself and file a notice of appearance in this matter, has been adjourned until December 4th of 2025 at 3:15. He wants everybody in person at 500 Street, one of the federal courthouses in Lower Manhattan. Because counsel has not yet appeared on behalf of the defendants, plaintiff Maurene Comey shall, no later than November 5, which she's done, serve a copy of this order on the Civil Division of the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. And then the judge put in an email of the person that he wants this notice to go to. And then that office shall share it with, quote, whatever component of the Department of Justice will handle this matter. Now, the reporting that's coming out like through the New York Times is nobody wants to handle it. The Southern District of New York, where James Comey was the U.S. attorney, not when his daughter was there at one time, where Maurene Comey plied her trade for 10 years, has disqualified itself. They're not even going to let Pam Bondi try to pressure any of the individual prosecutors who don't want to take on Maurene Comey in this case, because it's such a bad case for the DOJ and they're going to lose. They're out. Eastern District of New York, sitting in Brooklyn, they're out. Federal contracts unit within the Department of Justice in Washington, they're out. So who's going to do it? Some high level, I assume, or somebody from outside. They're going to have to get somebody from like Tennessee to come into New York in front of Judge Furman to represent the United States Department of Justice and Pam Bondi. But he says whoever is going to handle it better file their notice of appearance and show up. He also reminds them that although there was an order after the government shutdown, which said that civil cases in which the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York have appeared as counsel of record, staying those actions while the government was shut down but now reopened, it doesn't apply because he doesn't believe that the Southern District of New York is going to be participating in the case at all. And he thinks a different component of the Department of Justice is going to appear. Now, what's Pam Bondi going to do about it? She's going to have to go conscript, and she's going to have to go order one of her lawyers who don't want to do it to go up against Maurene Comey. And how do I know they don't want to do it? They don't want to, or how do I know she's going to do it? Because she issued a memo. I'll put it up in Legal AF Substack on February the 5th of 2025, in which she threatened members of the Department of Justice that she says, it is therefore the policy of the Department of Justice that any attorney who, because of their personal political views or judgments, declines to sign a brief or appear in court, refuses to advance good faith arguments on behalf of the administration, or otherwise delays or impedes the department's mission, will be subject to discipline and termination. Now, she issued this after people like Erez Ruveni and others refused to continue to lie for the Trump administration in front of federal judges. He was the whistleblower who issued a 28-page whistleblower report that he was forced to lie to federal judges, like Judge Zinnes in Maryland, and he refused. He got fired. She then issued the memo to have a little bit of a backdate. She loves backdating, Pam Bondi. A backdated paper trail. And now we see what's going to happen. But so far, nobody's stepping forward. I'll continue to follow it right here on Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. Slide over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel. We're going to crash through 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, crash through 1 million subscribers. Yeah. All right. Yeah, they fired Comey because she knows too much. That thing's insane. I hope she cleans their clock, and I suspect she will. Have a look at it, pass it along, and thanks for listening.